Jagrative, you'll come to see that your entire inner state is utterly and completely under your control. Your peace, your heart, your realization, depending upon how you learn to use your mind. It is not the mind that is peace. It is not the mind that is realization. It is not the mind that is joy or light or love. The mind is like the door to your house. The door is not the house, but the door is what lets you in. The door is what determines what's going on, what can come in and what can go out. That is all your mind is. If you program your mind properly, you will always be at peace, effortlessly. If you permit the mind to run on its own, you will never be at peace, ever. That's the way it works. So it's not about controlling the mind. It's not about making the mind be beautiful or making the mind be God or poor mind. It's like a chameleon. It has to be all these different things. The mind should be liberated so that you can be liberated. The liberation of your mind is not what liberation is. It is the opening of the door. That's all. But once the door is open, everything can flow in and out. It's all free. You have to learn to liberate your mind, to free your mind. If you liberate and free your mind, then you will be free. How? Your mind is programmed. It's that simple. You must come to look at your mind like a computer. I think it is just wonderful that nowadays, because of technology, that people understand these things. They have a real good understanding of what it means to have memory, short-term memory, long-term memory, what it means to process things, what it means to recall things. Everything that goes on in there now goes on outside. And we built it and we made it, and so you understand it. It is the exact same thing that is going on inside of you. We know what programming is. Before computers, nobody wouldn't even know what the concept meant. Now it's just so obvious, it's just so natural to us, because we understand that process, that you put impressions, you put some sort of logic, flow, if you will, and when the electricity flows through that pattern, then it makes it behave a certain way. That's all that programming is. When the logic flows through these gates, then it causes certain things to happen. It's all your samskaras are, it's all your impressions are that drive the mind. When the Shakti, the Chi, flows through those gates of those impressions, it causes different behavior patterns. It manifests as different personalities, as different thoughts, different feelings, different impulses, different urges. It's all about these patterns, these underlying patterns. If you want to, you can deal with them after they manifest, but that's really hard. Once the energy flows through these patterns and it starts to create thoughts and tendencies and urges and impulses and emotions and beliefs and just all the stuff it does, when it renders and manifests the result of these energy flows, the programming bears fruits, if you will, then it's very three-dimensional, it's very big, it's everywhere, and it's very hard to get your arms around. And you end up struggling in there. If you go down to the core level, to the samskaras, to the patterns themselves, that's where it is. If you wish to liberate your mind, you have to work at that level. If you reprogram your mind, you don't have to struggle anymore. That becomes your only struggle. If you don't like what the computer is doing, change the program. If you leave the program and still try to make it do something different, you're going to fight it forever. You must change the program of your mind. You don't see it as a program because you're so busy fighting what it's doing. And that's the truth. Here, you are on the outside trying to look in, trying to fight your way in. It's already manifesting. It's already building all this stuff that its program logic has caused it to do. And the soul, the self, the experiencer, is lost in this and struggling with this and trying to get some semblance of control when this machine, this computer mind, is manifesting the way that it is. You will never ever get anywhere that way. You will never win. You will struggle constantly forever. It will be a very, very, very uncomfortable existence if that's what you do. You have to use whatever effort you have, whatever chi, shakti you have, whatever will you have, needs to be applied at the right level, at the right place, if you want to win this battle. I hope you see what I'm saying. You will not win this battle if you permit all of your shakti to flow through this programming and come out on the other side. Because it's already multifold, it's manifest, it's all becomes something. It became a personality, it became a person. All right? And the soul just sits back there. It cannot fight this thing. All it can do is fight one tendency or one little thing. It cannot win, and it will never stop. You have to use what will you have, what shakti you have, to one-pointedly focus on the programming itself. And if you do, you can change those patterns. And if you change those patterns, then the energy flow will work with you instead of against you. So a lot of questions come up concerning that. Like, how do you focus properly on what to change those patterns? How do you look past all this noise that's going on, not get involved in it, so you can do the real work? And then the second question comes, what do you change it to? If I'm going to sit there and go mining deep inside to change these patterns, what do I replace them with? What do I change them with? It's such a beautiful journey. But first, that first part, people don't get it. They think they can work with the energy after it's already out. No, you can't. You might as well stop trying, because it's not going to work. You will struggle every minute of your time. Everything, everywhere. Once the energy manifests after leaving the patterns, it completely takes over your mind. Then your mind becomes that. It's like a computer that's specialized into being a robot. You can't think of it as a computer. You have to think of it as a robot. Your car is a computer, but it's not a computer, it's a car. Because it only does one thing. It's specialized. And that's what it's going to do. Your computer isn't a computer anymore. It made this person. It created this virtual reality person, and that's who it is. Now, how are you going to get out of that? It's too late. And what's going to happen once it manifests is it has its own hopes and dreams and desires and views and opinions and preferences, and it's going to look out into the world and start saying, what do you mean changing me? I'm changing that. It only knows how to be a certain way. Like to the car, whatever computer programs it's doing for fuel injection and all exhaust systems and so on, it's right. It would never think it's wrong. It has no basis for thinking it's wrong. It's the only thing it knows, therefore it's right. And if something's coming back through its sensory system that isn't the way it was programmed, then it's wrong. That's how strong programming is. It only knows what it knows if you're at that level. So your programming is manifesting this person, and that's all it knows. There's no objectivity there at all. And then it looks out into the world, and the world comes in through its senses. And either the world matches what it knows or it doesn't. And if the world does not match what it knows, guess who's wrong? You got it? There's no possibility the fuel injection system is supposed to be running the way it is if it doesn't match exactly what I was programmed, is there? I'm right, it's wrong. Red light goes on, fuel injection problem, not computer programming problem. It doesn't know it. It can't know it. It only knows what it knows. That is what's happening inside of you. That is who you are. That is what you've manifest. And so now when the world comes in, every bit of you says change it. Every bit of you looks at every bit of it and responds in accordance to the programming and says right, wrong, good, bad, change it, leave it. And that's what you're doing. And even if I tell you not to do that, you're going to look at me like I'm crazy. You're going to say, well, that's a struggle. That'd be a struggle. It says be attracted to her. No, you're married. Okay? To do this, do that, whatever it is. It just gives these 8,000 different rules, and the best that you can do if you apply your will, now listen, because I know you followed this so far, what they, the big T, would have you apply your will for is what I just said. Way out there at the end of the process, after it's all programmed and it's all manifest and it's judging everything as good, bad, right, wrong, and all of your energies are flowing accordingly, don't. Shame on you. Right? Apply your will to not do the last step of the process. That is, everything inside of me is saying this should be this way. Don't. Why? Because we said so. It's just I don't know how to answer that. What good is that? You poor things. What good is that to use your will to not do that? You'll have to use it forever. If it's not that, it'll be something else. The whole process was permitted to stay the way it is, manifest itself fully, and then you're supposed to stay on the edge and struggle your entire life fighting these energies that are the natural outcome of this program. You'll be there forever, won't you? No way. What will you have must be applied in a rational, meaningful way to do something meaningful. Okay, not to just sit there and tread water and have to know you're going to do that forever. What a terrible situation. I mean, it's so sad, and nobody teaches anybody anything. They just say, don't. And when it looks like you're gonna, we'll make the penalty bigger. That's not how you solve this problem, by just suppressing it, holding it together. If you have will, and you do, you don't want to work at the leaf. You want to work at the root. And the root is the programming where the Shakti comes in, flows through the samskaras, and manifests this person who has all these behavior patterns. And if you want to be free, that's the only way to be free. Because fighting does not create freedom under any conditions ever. But if you can work with these patterns and reprogram, change how the mind works, then the energies can flow freely. You don't have to deal with them at all. You can leave, it can leave, and that's what liberation is. That's your freedom. How do you work with those patterns? I just like looking at you and just saying, if you've understood what we've said so far, and I know you have, and realize that you went through all your school. You used to study in school, didn't you? Read books. And how much schooling you went through. Did they teach you what I just asked you? How do you change those patterns, those programs? And then not only did that teacher, they even talked about it. Yet the most important thing in your whole life, nothing, not a thing in your culture teaches you. It's the funniest thing in the world. All it takes is awareness. That's all it takes. You're going to have to expend will. Get this straight. It's not free. You're going to expend will. But you're doing it anyways. But you're doing it in the way that doesn't do any good. You'll never win the way you're doing it. You're just out there fighting at the leaf, putzing around. You're going to wake up the next day tired. You just get tired and tired and tired because you're putzing around with this stuff. Here, you just get your superhuman amount of will together, and you just do this. So the first it requires is awareness and consciousness. You have to be capable of being there while this stuff is going on. It's that simple. That's what it's all about. Until you're there, teachings don't do anything for you. Figure out a way to be there so that no matter what is going on all day, be there. What does that mean? Be there, being aware that you're there and this stuff is going on. The program is manifesting and it's blowing wind in your face. And you're getting blown around, but you're still there. You're just there. It's that simple. Good. Now that you're there, you can't operate if you faint every time you see blood. You got to learn to handle the blood and stand in the operating room. You're a yogi, yogini, sit in the self. Stay conscious at all times. Be aware of what is going on. Now, if you'd ask me, because I don't give techniques, you know that. How? I'll give you the highest technique there is. Want to more than anything else. And you will. You have to want to remain conscious more than you want a boyfriend, more than you want a girlfriend, more than you want a child, more than you want money, more than you want people to like you. Right? It has nothing to do with renunciation or anything like that. It merely means in the end you're going to get what you want. It works like that. You just don't realize how deep the level is where that truth takes place. It doesn't seem like you're getting what you want, but you are. For example, you want to be this person who's manifesting as this program. You win. How do I know you want to be? How long you been it? It's like you wake up every morning and be it. You're it all day. Okay, you must want it. Like you come here and you say, no, I want out. Man, that's not true. If you want it out, you'd be out. You want to be that person. You know the level I'm talking about. It's not the conscious level, right? It's just deep fear level stuff. It's something in there really wants to be that. And when it comes down to it, they defend it and hold on to it and so on. That's the level that when I say you end up getting what you want, you do. So if you want to remain conscious, what is going to happen is you'll start to be conscious, then something will happen that challenges your program, and it says no, okay? And it says no strong enough to where you buy into that. You say, oh, no, that ain't going on my watch. And you leave your center of consciousness in order to get all involved in what it is that these energy patterns, that's all they are, remember. It's energy passing through a computer program and manifesting as all these resultant energies. Desires and hopes and dreams and fears and thoughts. It's just an energy dance. Like really, thoughts, everything are just energy. But they manifest in accordance to how they pass through the program. It's very much like the light in a movie projector is just a light, it's just a bright light. It's just pure white light. But when you pass before it, the film, then all of a sudden it becomes all these motion picture things on the screen. But they're just light passing through shadows, isn't it? That is Shakti, energy, passing through your samskaras. And instead of manifesting as a cinema on the screen, it manifests as hopes, dreams, thoughts, fears, drives, energies. It is manifest as pictured energies. And now you're in there and all that's going on. If you want to remain conscious, you must care more about remaining centered and remaining conscious than you care about any of the pictures that are being shown on the screen. If you care more about the pictures on the screen, you're going to go get involved in those. And the act of getting involved in them means you didn't stay conscious. Is that clear? So the highest technique is that you want to. So you have to want to more than anything else. Once you understand what's going on, how can you not? I mean, how can you even want to get involved in that? There's no wind. Are you the wind? Are you all these messy energies that come up in there? And all you're really looking for is, can I just be okay? You're not really looking for anything. You just want a seat in there that you're okay. You ain't going to find one unless you do what I'm talking about. You're sitting in the middle of a tornado that's manifesting day and night. And at any given moment, something could happen that you know would cause so much trouble inside of you that you couldn't see straight. You know that, don't you? Who wants to live like that? Okay. The day you decide you don't want to is the day you decide that every single second of your life you are to remain conscious. And that's a true statement. And until you can look at yourself and sit there and say, you know what? From the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I go to bed at night, there's not a single moment that I'm not there. Not a single moment. Every thought that passes by, every emotion that passes out of the heart, I see the emotion getting created, see it stay, see it go. I see the thought being created, just like you see this room. It's all just passing before your consciousness, and you don't get involved enough to go down there to lose the view of what's going on. All right? That's being conscious. You're conscious. Otherwise, you're involved. You're either conscious or you're involved. Which one you want? Now, once you're conscious, you stand a chance to change the programming. I don't need to tell you why, if you're involved, you can't change the programming. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. When you're involved, you're part of the problem. You're actually feeding, you're buying into this is who I am. And you won't be able to unprogram it. Not a chance, because you're actually helping with it. And that is, you sit there, you're conscious, and you will see all these manifestations of energy. From now on, you are to see thoughts as manifestation of energy. You're to see emotions as manifestation of energy. You're to see your drives, your impulses, your urges as manifestations of energy. They have different shapes and forms and strengths and different things like that. They are just manifestations of energy after it passes through the programming. That's all of that is your programming carved a channel. Chit Shakti, the pure chi, the pure Shakti flows through that channel, and she manifests as thoughts, emotions, urges, drives. Every single thing that you see once you get conscious, that whole dance of energy is just the manifestation of that Shakti. So you sit there, you look at it, and you don't get involved. It is truly all about detachment, not renunciation, detachment. There's a big difference. Renunciation is you get involved and you push it away. Detachment is you don't get involved. You are detached. Detachment is not something you do or struggle. You just remain in your seat. And then all this energy is going on around you. Now what? To go down to its core, you must be able to withstand its noise. When its noise is blowing at you, it keeps you away or you run away, you'll never get down to the programming. The programming is at the core, right at the center. So you have to realize this stuff can't hurt me. It's just energy. Energy cannot hurt you. And you sit there. First you're conscious, and then you must permit it to pass through you. The wind will blow past you. Unless you're afraid of it, you run away, you'll never go where you're going. But if the wind wants to blow, you let it blow, you keep going your business. The rain keeps raining, you keep going your business. If you're afraid of the rain, then you won't go anywhere. It's you who decides whether these things run your life, not them. If you resist them, they run your life. If you like them, they run your life. If you're indifferent to them, they have nothing to do with your life. So all these energies that are going on, you just get centered and then you just relax in their face. And they will go past you. That's what they're doing. They're going past you. Anyways, you're just fighting them. As you go down there, you will end up at their core. You will end up at the root. And you will see how these energies are manifesting all the way down. So far down at the core of your being is where it all comes from. It's very beautiful down there. All right? And what you do is you permit all of it to be while you be, and there's nothing else to do. There is no battle. Like you'd think, okay, I'm not fighting the battle out here, outside. I'm trying to make people do this thing. I'm not going to fight the battle inside, struggling with the energies. I'm not going to fight the battle of pushing them aside. So now finally I'll get to the battle. There is no battle. There is no battle to be fought. There is only the willingness and ability to remain centered within your being regardless of what is going on. You don't fight anything. There is just your ability to remain seated within the consciousness of self, experiencing whatever is taking place. It will leave. It will blow right past you. What really you will see is it's still there because you're holding it there. That programming is not indelibly written, EEPROM, burned in. It's not. That programming is very fragile, extremely fragile. To stay in place, it must be held in place at all times with energy. It's not passive, it's active. The energy being that is holding every single line of that code in place is you. It cannot hold itself in place. It's energy that's trying to go. Something must hold it there. Remember what it is. It's just past impressions that came in and got stuck. How did it get stuck? You stopped it. At some level of your being, you held that impression inside of you. So that's why there's no battle. That'd be a pretty stupid battle if you're fighting it from going past you. Now you're going to figure out while you're fighting it how you're going to fight it to go. That's absurd. You got to move back, not forward. So if you can just sit there, conscious, centered, aware, without reacting or running or doing anything, what you're doing is holding your energy within yourself. Because you're withstanding and withholding the energy yourself, you're going to get closer and closer to that line of code. And what's going to happen is, you won't see it at first. What's going to happen is, because you didn't respond and react, the energy that at a very subtle, subconscious, deep level you were sending to that code to hold it there will no longer go there. Because you're not afraid of that code anymore. You're not afraid of this wind. You have to react to it. When you're able to sit in its presence, it's over. And it just dissipates. It disappears. It's just, that's how some scholars go. Any of you that have ever been at that point, they're just there one day, gone the next. You don't know where they went, but they were there before. Now they're not. It used to be this happened, you'd get weird, now you don't anymore. Can't put your finger on it. That's what happened. You stopped holding it there. So I'm telling you, there is no battle. There's just the willingness to be in its presence. If you can sit in its presence, it will go. And these things just start going. In truth, I've just explained to you why meditation works. Meditation is not the end in and of itself, but obviously meditation does just what we talked about. Meditation is the practice of sitting there without getting involved. At a minimum, that's what it is, right? Because you can sit there without getting involved, the energies are pulling into the self away from the samskaras. And little by little, this stuff's going to start to melt. But if you go even deeper during the day, to where no matter what's going on, you stay centered and conscious, and no matter what happens, you do not engage. You do not get involved in those energies, no matter what level they're at, right? you will find yourself face to face with the lines of code, with impressions that are causing this to happen, and you say, okay, then what do I do? Nothing. There's never anything to do. That's the highest thing to do, is nothing. If you could actually do nothing, you'd be enlightened. As simple as that. You sit in there and you quiet down and you just keep your hands to yourself. And what will happen is the lines of code will start falling away. Little by little, one by one, fast, whatever. They will just go. And different situations in life will manifest different ones, bring up different ones. It's always the same thing. You do nothing. You just sit there and relax and be completely open, and they will start to go. Now what you're going to see is that what ends up going, we talked about how do you actually reprogram the mind. What ends up going is this concept of judging. This concept of setting aside what you like from what you dislike. This concept of preferences. When you stand face to face with the source of preferences, with the source of preference itself, not preferences, the source of preference, why are you differentiating? Everything in this world is exactly the same. It's the world. The ocean is the ocean. The planet's the planet. The galaxy is the galaxy. Everything in this world is exactly the same. It's just something that is. Everything. And when you get down to this planet and what goes on it, or your mind and what thought you have, or it's like, you must admit it's a little absurd that the mind is focusing on that, don't you? What's causing that to happen? Why is the mind so judgmental? Why does it differentiate so much? When you get down to the core of your being, you will see that. And when you can sit in the presence of that and let that go, you will see that's how you reprogram the mind if you want to be free. You teach it that the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. To have no preferences, no likes, no dislikes, or at least no involvement in your likes and dislikes, is your highest state. I told you once, somebody said to me, it's okay to have preferences as long as you're not addicted to them. Yeah, you can have a nice life that way, but that's not what we're talking about. As long as you have preferences, you will have mind. You will see that's what makes your mind go. The minute you have what you like from what you dislike, you're dead. That's the essence of the program. We say that in computers it's all a binary system, on or off. Your program is like and dislike. Yin and yang. That's the programming. Just give me that one differentiation and I will build you. I will build your entire universe with your entire psyche. That's all it's about. If I like this and don't like that, what does that mean? About her and about him and about this? It's going to mean something about everything, isn't it? How does every single thing relate to what I like and dislike? And that is going to make your mind be so active about everything. That's all it's going to think about. How to get what it wants and how to stay away from what it doesn't want, and how every single thing relates to what it wants and doesn't want, and whether it's going to take me closer or further away, and what do I do about it? Okay, that's what it is, and that's what all your emotions are. That's what fear and desire are. Fear is, oh my God, what I don't want's going to happen. Desire is, oh my God, what I want's going to happen. It is all about that binary system of like and dislike. What is creating that differentiation in a universe that one galaxy that looks like a star has 1 trillion stars and your sun is one? And that's one galaxy? I mean, how many are there? So it's stupid for your mind to do that, isn't it? Plus, you're only here for a very short period of time. A few years, a blink of an eye. Why would you have all these preferences and all these desires and all these likes and dislikes instead of just being here? That's how you reprogram your mind. You decide that what you're all about is just being here. And you do it all day. You stay centered, you release whatever's coming up, and you let go of your likes and dislikes at every level with no exception. There's not a single like or dislike. Now I'm going to give this to you tough. There's not a single like or dislike that you honestly believe has any relevance to your life. What has relevance to your life is to transcend liking and disliking. There's none that can exist that really matters. What matters is that it'll all be gone. Because as long as there's one, no matter what it is, you will have fear and you'll have desire and you're going nowhere. The moment you are committed, I'm not talking about getting rid of them, I'm talking about being committed to not have them. There's a big difference. Don't fight. To sit there and realize, if I didn't have differentiation, if I was just here, and it just is life, and here I am looking at it, my mind doesn't have to say a word, does it? Why would your mind say anything? I taught you, look at all the things you don't have likes and dislikes about. There are a lot. You won't know them because your mind never tells you about them. Your mind doesn't say a word about them. It won't even remind you of them. Why would it waste its time? And there's billions of them. It don't say squat about them. Let's talk about something meaningful. Meaning something I like or something I don't like. And that's what the mind wants to deal with. If you undercut its likes and dislikes, there is no mind. That's how you do it. So when we talked about how, I showed you how, then I said, what should you reprogram it with? That. Nothing. Reprogram it with the empty set. Reprogram it with null. Set all variables to null. Nothing. Nothing. Look how Zen it is. Isn't that beautiful? I would end up like that. Very, very deep Buddhist. When there is nothing at the core of that preference maker, of that differentiator, it differentiates, doesn't it? Look how much differentiation there is. When you are willing to let go of that, right now you'll see it's not easy to let go of. There's a reason you differentiate. Do you know what it is? Fear. That's the reason. The whole thing is happening because of fear. You think that by differentiating, you'll be okay. It's the solution. Break it all down, analyze it, and put it back together in a way that works for you. That's how you'll be okay. It's just all a protection mechanism to try and hide and deal with the underlying fear and insecurity and lostness. If you no longer permit differentiation, that too will go. And you won't be lost anymore. At the levels I'm talking, it's very beautiful to go to those levels. The more you go into deep truth, the more you are a Buddhist, a Taoist. It's where the absolute clearest truth exists. They speak in Zen, in Buddhism, of a thing called the undifferentiated mind. The undifferentiated mind. In fact, you will find Buddhist writings that capitalize M in the word mind, and who speak of mind as other scriptures speak of God. They talk about the great mind. The Buddha merged with mind. Right? What is that? I thought we were getting rid of mind. The undifferentiated mind is another term for consciousness. When you sit and just see consciously, you'll notice the tendency for thoughts to pop in your mind. It's so easy to see them. Again, I told you once, your greatest meditation is just see the room without thinking. Just take it all in. Then watch what happens when you start to think. You'll think about one part of it. Thoughts will start to show up on the backdrop of just seeing. Now you see a thought versus no thought. The thought is differentiated mind. You've made all these different forms about it in the sea of mind. They're like little fishes. The ocean in which they swim, what do you want to call that? I don't care, it's just words. You want to call it undifferentiated mind? Fine. God is undifferentiated mind. You want to call it consciousness? Then it's consciousness. They're just words, aren't they? If it's undifferentiated, it's universal. It has no qualities, it's Brahman. It all merges at that level, at the level of undifferentiation. That's when it's all one, isn't it? So when you drop back behind that, I prefer to call it consciousness because we use mind to mean something else and it gets confusing. Okay? But I don't have a problem with somebody who would sit there and say, well, how do you know back there that's watching the thoughts is not mine? It's fine as long as it's undifferentiated mind. Because if it's undifferentiated, it's void. No. And there's no difference in his and mine because it's undifferentiated. Right? It becomes universal mind. That's what's back there, is universal. I don't care whether it's universal God, universal consciousness, or universal mind. They're just words, aren't they? So don't get caught in any of this. But the key is the undifferentiation. When you are willing to release these patterns, it becomes undifferentiated. When it is undifferentiated, there is no mind. It has no basis for being. It will not manifest anything. The code is gone. It just is still, it's quiet, it's peaceful. That's where peace comes from. And in that peace, you'll experience tremendous, pure energy. The energy that's not running through the code set. Just pure electricity flowing freely. Oh, how does it manifest? It manifests as itself. It manifests as God. It manifests as the pure Shakti flowing without any patterns of differentiation. That's what a master is. You understand? You stand in the presence of a master. That's what you feel. There's just pure energy. So, this is your understanding of mind. This is right understanding of mind. Right now, mind owns you. The differentiated mind owns you. And it's a struggle, isn't it? But there really is no battle. There is no struggle. It is your willingness to not get involved that keeps your energy pulled back into the self and releases these samskaras. It releases these patterns. Because in detachment, your energies are staying centered within the self. Therefore, they're not feeding the samskaras. When they don't feed the samskaras release. When the samskaras release, all the energy flows freely. Detachment is equivalent to liberation. There's no difference when it's all said and done. True detachment. Now, unfortunately, people misunderstand detachment or renunciation for detachment. Like, I'm totally detached. I don't touch this. I don't touch that. That's not detachment. Okay? That's attachment to fighting what you're attached to. Detachment is to remain within the self and to unhook your interest, your attention from the objects that you're looking at. You detach them. It's a neat word, isn't it? You detach your consciousness, you detach your awareness from what it's focusing on. And it pulls back into the self. And once that happens, that's your whole thing, is to sit in the self. If you can sit in the self, all the rest is going to happen, isn't it? You see why now? It all unravels. The mind falls away. You do not struggle with the mind. You permit it to fall away. And when it falls away, you get to fall back behind it because it can't hold you. Just like an atom, when they bombard it, it becomes unstable. It falls apart. It's no longer an atom. What does it turn into? Light. That's what happens to you. This whole pattern is holding itself together. The energy flows through some scars, creating all the noise. The self is involved in the noise. It's all a force field that's holding itself together. You start unraveling that, you let go of those some scars, they don't hold the consciousness, and the consciousness gets pulled back into the self. Because they're pulled back into the self, it's not showing its interest to the some scars, so more fall away. It's an atomic reaction, a chain reaction. All right, enlightenment's a chain reaction. Okay? And the some scars are the electrons and the neutrons, right? You bombard them and they start to fall apart. Then the consciousness doesn't get attached as much. When it pulls back, then it sends less energy, therefore more fall away. And if enough of them fall away, the consciousness pulls far enough back to where no energy is going in that system, therefore it stops manifesting. And when it stops manifesting, nothing's holding the consciousness. And all of a sudden, it goes back to God and it goes back to God. They go back to their respective gods. That which belongs to the earth belongs to the earth. That which belongs to energy belongs to energy. And that which belongs to consciousness belongs to consciousness. And it's over. Very good. Work with these things. Jai Gurudev.